Welcome to the Green Leaders Second podcast. I am Ruba Nassar, sustainability expert and Green Leaders member. And today we're exploring the power of Earth, not just as soil, but as a material for building, healing, and reconnecting. We'll be talking about earth blocks and other natural products, which have deep culture and environmental significance. Joining us is Reem Hilal, architect and founder of Hearth, a beautiful initiative that reimagines our relationship with earth materials through sustainability, storytelling, and design. Also, she's part of Building Balade, a company exploring how earth blocks can offer low impact, resilient building solutions, especially in the context of Lebanon. Reem, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Okay. Hi, Reem.
Hi.
All is good. So today our podcast is into insight about earth blocks, and we have Reem Hilal today with us. She's an architect, and Reem, if you can tell us more about you, what inspired you to start H Earth, and how did your journey into sustainable building materials begin?
Okay. Hi, Roba. Yes. Okay. So I started out studying architecture, and I was very into natural materials and the natural aspect of building. But it was only until I kind of gathered all my values kind of together and what matters to me that I kind of combined this concept called Hearth, which combines earth, art, and heart. So the basics of it is that things are to be made and designed from natural materials, whatever is available around us, and doing something that's healthy for us and for the environment. It's not just taking the environment into consideration, it's also taking our health and our benefit into the equation. And so I started experimenting with different materials, seeing little projects and problems around me that I can fix using whatever's around me. And I found the material of earth, which is available almost everywhere. Everyone can reach it. And it started out as a hobby of creating the rodangos, which is a Japanese art of making mud balls. And it's very simple yet very fun, and it kind of gets you clinged into this material, and it teaches you more or less the basics of what does this earth do and what is earth in general. And so I took this experimentation further and decided, okay, I really care about the basics of um, living, which are like providing the basic essentials that are needed from food to fire to shelter. So I stuck around these three main topics, starting with planting and making planting pots, then experimenting more with fireplaces, and then now I'm more into architecture and natural building along with my work partners. Uh, so that's how I got into it, and then this is where Hearth came from, and which is now applied. I apply it in working.
Really interesting to see that starting from fun aspect and a hobby and came into something that you're actually working in and loving it. So talking about architecture, how do you approach blending modern design needs with traditional earth-based building practices?
Okay, so earth building has always been something traditional in Lebanon and in other places around the world. The way I learned about it was through a tutor in New Zealand. I kind of learned earth building from there, and it was a bit not the way we build here in Lebanon or used to build here in Lebanon. but like the basics are the same mostly everywhere. It's just like there's these different aspects, cultural aspects that we put into the buildings that make them kind of unique to the place. And now it's something I'm learning about more through Huda Asatli's books. She's one of, I think, the very few, if not the only, that writer that did a huge research around Syrian and Lebanese earthen architecture and combined all those elements from doors to aesthetics to everything in her books. And I'm still kind of learning that to try and integrate it more in our works. Um, so that's the traditional way. And of course, like people now want these more modern elements, like having this minimalistic way of living and these clean
Mm,
edges and corners, straight lines more. And this is something also I really enjoy doing, and it's a challenge to kind of change that and try to make it uh, fit people's
mm.
lives today.
But in terms of like typologies, I know like Lebanon used to apply traditional, I'd say, architectural practices, but like nowadays, at least for the cities, we don't see it anymore. Um, and if we want to apply this, I'd say, earth block architectural construction of way into, say, into a high rise tower, is it feasible, or it's only limited to a certain, let's say, height or elements?
The way I see things is إنه this earth building concept kind of came from a different culture than ours now, not Lebanon, but not a modernized way of living. The high-rise buildings came from a not this the way
Western
we live.
mm,
Yeah, a Western approach of mass production, having so many people in cities, this is a new concept relatively. So we can integrate earth building and earth blocks into that. High-rise buildings, there is some high-rise buildings done in earth. I don't think it will be very suitable and very practical for us to apply it now, but I see integrating blocks rather than CMU
mm,
blocks, like the construction masonry units, cement
mm.
masonry units. They can be used instead of them, and they have many more benefits than that. يعني, definitely.
Okay, interesting. So there is still a opportunity for integration between these two,
Yes,
say, two
definitely.
different approaches. So for those who's like unfamiliar with the, say, concept, what exactly are earth blocks and how they are different from conventional building materials like concrete, as you mentioned, or fired brick?
Yeah, okay. So there's mainly, there's a lot of difference. They're very different. So earth blocks are natural and biodegradable. Clay bricks are fired, so they're no longer biodegradable, although they come from natural elements, which is still good, but it's not biodegradable. Like when it's waste, you need to treat it somehow to take care of it. Cement, the production of cement is it creates a lot of pollution to produce it, a lot of energy, and both of them, they rely on mass production. And that's one thing that earth bricks is also different in. It comes from the land around you, and that's how they came up with it. It's something that they had and they used around them. They did not need a quarry to do it. It's just the essence of it is not mass production. It's just production by the people, by masses.
So it's
So
manual,
of
I would
course,
say it's manual production compared to mass.
yes, manual and local,
Mhm.
and as
Mm.
local as it can get around the house. Another thing is thermal mass. So cement blocks, you can tell from our houses, they don't really store so much heat. You need to constantly have a heat source and a cooling system. So it's just like a barrier from inside to outside, but it's not really doing anything. So you can replace it with anything and still be fine. Yani I don't, you can really make
Mm.
blocks out of anything and put them instead of cement, and it will be just as good.
So in
So
terms of
where
thermal performance, it's better. It's like it's the earth blocks has some kind of insulation
yeah,
layers and
they have thermal mass, so they're like batteries. They absorb a lot of the heat and then give it out at the night slowly. And also in winter, they kind of keep the house more warm because you're firing on the inside. It's not really escaping to the outside that quickly, so it keeps the warmth inside.
mm. And in terms of like construction, do you make these blocks and like you put one on top of each other and then you can layer them with another layer of plaster? Is it like in terms of construction,
Yes,
is it similar to the concrete or is there a different I don't know or
yes.
additional step?
Yeah, it's mostly like cement. It's just it needs extra care for not water coming on it. It's a bit more labor intensive. So in cement, they have this makbas, which is like the press. They press the bricks, and it comes out. You can do compressed bricks as well from earth. That's also doable. It dries faster. Uh, but yeah, you can basically yani, apply the same cement tools and stuff to it, whether plastering, whether compressing it, the way you build it. It's
Mm.
very similar.
And so are you starting to apply this within your work? Do you have current projects that uh, are using earth blocks?
Yeah, so now we initiated, me, Robert Maylis, and Muhammad Murtada, we initiated something called Building Balade, which is founded kind of in Zahle here in Lebanon. And Robert had initiated Building Baladi since 2019, and he already has a lot of prototypes there that he has built alongside his team, using whatever is from that land, yani even like the wooden structures, everything. Rarely things are bought, and even sometimes we cut the trees ourselves to get them, to use them, cleaning the wood and everything. So yeah, and we started doing this outside of like in different areas in Lebanon, from consultation to execution of the buildings. We still don't have our own execution team. We train workers, regular cement workers, how they do things, and
Mm.
it's usually straightforward when it comes to that, with a little bit of bumps along the road, but it's still
Yeah.
like doable.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting. It's like it's actually being implemented on even though it's some projects, but you know, it's a start and it's not only like focused in a certain area like Zahri. It's now like spreading as you mentioned in other areas. So you train the locals, so you contact local workers and you train them, or they contact you? How that work?
It's an agreement between us and the client. Sometimes the client knows some workers they want to work with and they trust, and we train them. And sometimes they don't know anyone, so we help them find workers that are up for getting trained in this and are up for doing this kind of job. Because it's not very straightforward, and sometimes they just want a straightforward job where it's very fast and they get paid for it, and no headache, nothing.
Okay.
So it does take a bit of like also the people working on site need to you need to know like it's not the same completely. Sometimes, especially with our approach, we like to use what's on site rather than ordering things in, like gravel, soil, things like that, sand. So whatever we can use from what's around, that's extra labor. It could be maybe the same cost, but that's how we do things. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, it depends on the client as well, if they accept that or they prefer something maybe cheaper, faster. They don't care about uh,
Mm.
that impact so much, and we kind of give and take when it comes to these things. But yeah, we train the workers and they
Interesting.
do the job.
And in terms of time, so how, yeah, on average, I know it depends on like everything. It depends on the project, the client goal, the what type of a project and building that you're either like designing or building. But on average, how much time it take to like train these workers?
We train them as we go, so it's not like we have a training period that kind
Mm,
of takes time. But within each step, if things like are unclear, and some already have a basic knowledge of it because they, like in Syria, like most our workers are Syrian, so they come
mm,
from Syria and they already have experienced maybe building or seeing someone build in this, so they are a bit familiar. And if
mm,
not as well, um, yes, it still does take a bit more time because of our approach, keeping things maybe as local as it can get. So that maybe sometimes takes more time than just ordering things in and mass
mm,
producing of. يعني. So I would say it would take maybe one, from the limited experience that I have is like 1.5 times more
mm.
than a regular construction.
And
Uh,
you, when you say like you train them as you go, you train them as you go along with the actually producing the blocks.
yes.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
يعني, for example, we tell them the mixes, the molds that we need, how the mold can be done. Mainly, like the most important is the mix.
hmm, okay. And you have mentioned building baladi, and you already have your, let's say,
If certain areas need waterproofing or like some protection from weather, things like that. Yani, we do those trainings on that. Whereas stoneworking, for example, we use some stone walls, yani, most of the time. This is something known, yani, this is not very foreign, and you can find stone workers and they could build that for you. Woodworkers, maybe some might need some familiarizing with wooden joints, and some it's fine, like they know it. It's simple for them. It depends on the team most of the time. If they know nothing about construction, let's say, then that's like it takes more time and more effort to make sure like the work comes out up to the like the standards,
mm,
I'd say.
okay. And you have mentioned building baladi, and you have, I would say, your own company, Hearth. How are these two, let's say, companies are different from each other? Mm,
Okay. So Hearth, a part of Hearth is building actual buildings, uh, but it's also design oriented and experimental. So it's a space where I can experiment more with the material in itself, and maybe later on other materials. It's not tied to earth. It's just a starting material and it might end up like the only material, but it's more experimental towards design. So it's kind of a challenge to find alternatives to what's already in the market. It could be a table, a chair, an appliance, maybe things we use every day. It's just like making it in a more natural way. It could be a product, yani. Uh,
mm.
that's the difference. Whereas in building baladi, we're focused on buildings.
Okay. That's that's interesting. And in terms, I would say, of challenges, have you encountered like resistance or misconceptions around using earth as building material? If so, how do you address these challenges or misconceptions?
Yes, of course. Yani, we've heard a lot of stuff like people associate Earth with being poor, with making houses for animals, like a cow shed or something. It's they do, although like not long ago we used to live in those buildings, and there are still like some of those buildings around. Uh, and it's like the same also approach to stone buildings that yani, a lot of the mountain houses are made out of stone. It's the same concepts, yani, it's
And
not
yeah,
that
coming
different.
from natural materials, yes, but
Yeah.
I know maybe because earth is linked to the, I would say, to the soil and the sand, and you need process like to.
It's
Uh,
usually yani, it's easier than stone. You can do it by hand, yani, anyone can learn it and do it. Uh, yeah, we've heard a lot of those things, and it's something that kind of still makes me angry till now. And it's I want to prove them wrong, but
okay.
I think like they just need to see like the potential of the material and like
Mm,
the nice finishes that can be done. It's really like so amazing. You can do so much with it. It doesn't have to be a cow shed. It can be an actual house, an actual room, uh, as modern as it can get. يعني. And yeah, it can be done. It's just people need to see it in that
mm.
way.
So when actually
It,
people see the potential and see the, I would say, the prototypes that you have done, they start changing their, I would say, their mindset, right?
yes, yeah, and usually they do. Yani from the people that come and visit us in Zahle, when they see like the newer buildings we're making, the nicely finished ones, yeah, yani, they couldn't recognize it's earth sometimes, and they think that we've added something to
Oh,
it, but it's just like earth.
mm,
We don't really add stuff that aren't natural, and it's anything from the land.
okay,
So uh, yeah, it's just a matter of time, I would say.
interesting. Okay, and uh, so we talked about the earth production, and are there any opportunities to incorporate these technology or this architectural approach into production or design with earth blocks, or some technologies into fastening the production process, or yeah.
Yes, and no, like they started applying it in 3D printing, like not earth blocks specifically, but earth in general, like 3D printing houses. And as I said, you can use like the machinery that's used for cement, like making presses that you can make compressed blocks out of, and using that makes things much easier
Mm,
and faster. And I don't know what technologies might come later on, and I think they will find a way to apply it to earth for sure. It's very similar material to cement. It's just as easy. But like I have mixed feeling about this because we should kind of draw a line because as we mentioned before, the mass production in it, like technology has always come in for mass production and making things faster and more available for people. But like the basics and essence of this material is and to use and if it's around you, if I
to
need to make a
connect.
query, yeah, and if I need to make a query, I don't know where, and take down a whole mountain to bring it to build with it here, that's besides the point. Yani, let's just make
Mm,
cement, it's the same, it's
mm,
just a different material now.
mm.
We shouldn't go there. And I
Okay.
know like maybe one day we will, but and we shouldn't.
Didn't, yeah. It's about like drawing the balance between extracting the resources around us. And in terms of like materials of the earth block, so In general, what, say, materials that are in earth block? Is it like sand? I know some use lime, and some use straws, but is there one way of doing it, or other like different?
Okay, I would say like it depends what that block is being used. There's
Mm,
different mixes you can use for it, but mainly it has clay, like a average clay content, a higher sand content, and straw.
mm,
And depending on what that brick is used for, you play with them. So if
mm,
it's load bearing, then its mixture will be different from, for example, if you wanted insulating. So naturally, the brick is usually has a high thermal mass, but it does not have insulation so much. If you add straw to it, a lot of straw, then it becomes lighter and it becomes more insulate. It has more insulation from the outside. But at the same time, that block no longer can carry weight, a lot of weight, as much as the one with less straw, for
mm.
example, and more clay and sand. So it depends what you're using that block for.
Oh, okay.
These are the three main
Mm,
components. And of course, because you're using earth, some earth silt and clay are kind of different. So silt, clay, and sand. Uh, Silt kind of acts a bit like clay, but also we do not need a lot of it still, and it's not needed if it doesn't exist. It's just like it's already there in the soil a lot in a lot of our soils. It's a component. It makes things like hold together just like clay,
okay.
but clay is much stronger.
Mm,
Yeah.
interesting. So it depends on the purpose of using this earth block, and then you can play around the ingredients to match the core. Um, Finally, we came to an end, and I have a last question that uh, if you can tell us where can people learn more about Hearth or and building Baladi, and if they want to get involved, how? And as a female founder in a traditionally male-dominated industry, what have you learned, and what advice would you give to other women entering this space?
Okay. So if people are interested in learning more, we have our Instagram pages. It's h.earth for hearth and building.baladi for building baladi. And we have a website, buildingbaladi.com. We have our projects there. They can see our approach and everything. Whereas, like the other question, like it's a whole topic on its own, I would say, and I can talk so much about it. But first of all, I would say like construction is not, it is a male industry now, but it wasn't like that before. So now it's considered like this. Uh, but traditionally, women were included a lot in building. They were, and if you see and it's something Huda Asadli wrote about, the women were making the shelving in the houses, just removing earth and digging into the walls to create their spaces because they were using the spaces more than the men, whether the kitchens or like the bedrooms. So they were organizing the house and they would integrate these shelving into the walls, and that would include them digging into the walls, the earthen walls, and plastering them. And I know from my family, like from my grandma and her mom, they used to plaster the floor with earth before, and that was something the women did. So they were highly included in those things. Like today, if you see a woman doing that in her own house, they'd say like, ah, like that's not your thing to do. It's very weird. But it's not like we're building skyscrapers or something. You know, it's something we can physically do. It's not. okay, we're not that weak. Okay, I know like physically man can be stronger, but I mean like we're not that weak. There's certain stuff we still can do. We can still carry a brick and put it on a wall. We can still plaster. Like it's not, you just need like to build up a teeny tiny bit of muscle to carry things and work
Mm,
through them. So I think, if we can do them and we really want to do them, why not? uh, and it's like really important, like most important thing I would say, to do something that you love doing and you want to do. So I don't think anything, especially something as little as gender, like stop you from that. Uh, so yeah, I would say like they should do whatever they want to do, regardless of this, and as long as they can do it, if they physically can do it. I'm not saying it's easy, like it's still like we need to also learn how things are done, because like I do believe like women function kind of differently, and we are built differently, whether we like it or not. Like our bodies are different, we're built differently. So the way we see things and do things are different, and the way the construction industry is working works for men, does not work for women so much. But that shouldn't really stop. It takes time to learn those ways and accustom to them.
mm,
But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't put our input into them and maybe make our own ways of doing things, and make it a bit more normalized, and to have a female coworker and she works in this way because that's what works for her.
mm,
It's not like
yeah.
everyone should work the way they are working,
Like there's
because
no one standard way of doing things, and everybody should follow that. I mean,
yeah,
these techniques can be tailored to accommodate female construction workers, regardless if it's I would say in the external building envelope or in the inside the building.
yeah, of course, as long as it's doable and we make those environments safer for women to be in them, then why not?
Mm. Thank you so
And I was
much.
lucky for
Sorry.
for having
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you're saying
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm lucky enough to have had like these safe experiences and safe places, and that kind of encouraged me and gave me the confidence. Whereas I know like it's not the case for many people,
Mm.
and for many women, it's not very comfortable for them to have that.
Thank you, Reem, for your insight. Is there anything else or a final note you would like to say or mention?
I hope like people really start seeing this material in a different perspective and appreciating it, and maybe then we'll start like taking care of it more, and not it helps like with making less pollution, growing more trees and plants, native plants, to make this taking care of the soil more, whether we're using it or not. But like it kind of opens your eyes to like how important this material is, not just for construction, but for everything we're using. It's just a great material to get to know. It's the base of life.
Mm. Thank you, Reem, so much for your insight. I think people is gonna love this podcast. They're gonna learn something new, and thank you so much.